Jane mentioned Fred Atwood, and he was a great influence on the songs that I've learned. And a great influence on me, I learned so many songs from him. He's the son of James Atwood, who had contributed the songs to Edith Sturgis for her book, Songs from the Hills of Vermont, back in before 1919 when the book was published. And in the introduction to this book, it says that James had sung, I think, 70 songs for Edith Sturgis, and there were 13 in the book. So I was very anxious to find the rest of them, and eventually was able to locate Fred Atwood, who had moved to Massachusetts, lived under the auspices of the Salvation Army. But I wrote to him. He didn't have a phone at that point. I didn't have a phone. But he said, well, every summer I come to Brattleboro by the bus, and my brother, who lives in northern Vermont, comes to Brattleboro by bus, and we meet once a summer in Brattleboro. And if you'll come and pick me up and take me to Dover, to the cemetery where my parents are buried, I'll come to your house and sing all of these songs for you. And he did this. It was, I think, 48 years ago. And it was just the most heart-rending time, 3 days. He spent 3 days at our house and sang these songs for me. Old Wallensack. And if you're interested in library work, all of these songs are deposited here at the Library of Congress through Joe Hickerson, who came to Vermont and brought them down to be copied. So they're available to hear Atwood himself sing these songs. And I'm going to sing Ranadine, which was one of the first ones that I learned of his songs. It has a chorus, which is easy to pick up. Sounds wonderful when you sing the chorus here. One evening as I rambled 2 miles below Pomeroy, I spied a pretty fair maiden all on the mountains high. Said, my pretty fair maiden, your beauty shines most clear on this lonely mountain. I'm glad to meet you here, glad to meet you here. I'm glad to meet you here on this lonely mountain. I'm glad to meet you here. She said, young man, be civil, my company forsake. To my great opinion, I fear you are a rake. And if my parents knew of it, my life they would destroy, for keeping of your company all on the mountains high. On the mountains high, all on the mountains high, for keeping of your company all on the mountains high. I said, my dear, I am no rake, but brought up in Venus' train, seeking of concealment all in the judge's name. Your beauty has ensnared me, I cannot pass you by. With my gun I'll guard you all on the mountains high. On the mountains high, all on the mountains high. With my gun I'll guard you all on the mountains high. This pretty little fair maiden, she fell into a maze, with her eyes as broad as amber upon me she did gaze. Her ruby lips and cherry cheeks, they lost their former dye. Then she fell into my arms all on the mountains high. On the mountains high, all on the mountains high. Then she fell into my arms on the mountains high. I hadn't kissed her once or twice when she came through again. Modestly then asked me, sir, what is your name? If you go to yonder forest, my castle there you'll find. written ancient history. My name is Ranadine, my name is Ranadine, my name is Ranadine, written ancient history. My name is Ranardine. Modestly she asked me, sir, what is your name? If you go to yonder forest, my castle there you'll find, written ancient history. My name is Ranardine, my name is Ranardine, my name is Ranardine, written ancient history. My name is Ranardine. Said my pretty fair maiden, don't let your parents know. If you do, they'll prove my ruin and fatal overthrow. When you come to look for me, perhaps you'll not me find. I'll be in my castle, so call for Ranadine. Call for Ranadine, so call for Ranadine. I'll be in my castle, so call for Ranadine. Now all ye pretty fair maidens, a warning take by me. Be sure you quit night walking and shun bad company. For if you don't, you'll surely rue till the day you die. And beware of meeting Ranardine on the mountains high, on the mountains high, all on the mountains high. Beware of meeting Ranardine all on the mountains high.